Hello, welcome to another video and welcome to episode 6, I think, of Bookbox Battle. It might be episode 5, I don't know, because I can't count. But this is this month's episode of Bookbox Battle. If you haven't seen any of my Bookbox battles before, they are linked in a playlist down below or somewhere. And basically what I do is unbox my Fairyloot and Illumicrate boxes, then pick a couple of books from my old Bookbox books that I haven't yet read, do a first chapter challenge on the books that I have picked there, so my new ones and my older ones, and then read in this vlog the book that intrigues me the most from the first chapter. Hopefully I can try and get to like multiple books in this vlog, but let's be honest, that's happened maybe twice. I'm not very good at reading multiple books in a week apparently. But this month I have got 2 Fairyloot boxes. I've skipped my Illumicrate for May. I can't remember why, but I do look up spoilers for the book so I can decide whether or not I want to keep or skip. And the May one just didn't intrigue me. I don't remember what the book was now, but when I looked at it I was like, and read the synopsis, it didn't intrigue me. That does mean that I have seen what these 2 are. Can't remember what they are. I think I can remember what the Romantsy one is, but I don't remember what the main one is. But I have got some sort of level of intrigue around them because I have seen them in the synopsis. Sounds interesting. So just because it is on top, I'm going to start with the Romantsy box. Both of these boxes are adult fantasies. Romantsy is obviously a romantasy and the Fairyloot adult is adult fantasy or sci-fi. I pay for both these boxes myself, so I do utilise my skips when it's a book that I'm not interested in, like I said. So the Romantsy theme is written in red. It is not the book that I thought it was, which, you know, isn't a bad thing. So we have got a author letter. Get the book box away. So I think I've got the bottom of the book here, which is just a navy. Oh, I've got something in there. I have a second author letter. Okay, they've sent me 2. That's fine. Solid navy there. The edges are stunning. Solid navy at the top. And the book is A Curse of Blood and Wolves by Melissa McTernan. Very, very pretty. I really like the bits of, like, what's it called? Is it gilding? I don't know. But there's like shiny bits. I like that. The edges are stunning. They look like they are laser printed with a sort of hedgerow kind of theme. We have got, let's go through it. So we've got a reversible dust jacket. I don't know what the original looked like, so I don't know if this is the original. I do like this one. Now, like I said, I say this all the time, but I don't like people on dust jackets, on people on covers. But I might prefer this one to just the red. The naked hardback has this wolf design with a sort of wood. I feel like you can see the background wood better than you can see the wolf. There's the wolf. There's the kind of background trees, misty trees, which is really stunning, and a rose on the back. End papers, he's quite attractive. Hello. And our main gal. Let's get him dressed and I will read you out the synopsis while I do so. When Ruby feels the eyes of a stranger in the woods, she knows she should be scared, that she should run away, but she can't. Instead she feels a thrill, feels drawn to the stranger who follows her in the woods. Yearns for his eyes on her every night as she walks home, hoping to hear the crunch of leaves under his feet that signal he's there. Will he ever reveal himself? And this is a steamy reimagining of Little Red Riding Hood. So I imagine that there is probably wolf shifters in this. There may not be. I might be making that up. Very possible, but I feel like there might be wolf shifters. So that is book 1. I am intrigued by that one. That one does sound interesting. Here's my 2 cards. Let's put them over there. And let's move on to the adult Fairyloot. That way around. I've actually got scissors this month so I can open the boxes properly. rather than just sort of ripping into them or stabbing with a pen. Ah, this is the book that I thought it was going to be. So the theme is cottagecore. So this one, the book sounded interesting, but I will be honest, I'm a little bit nervous because cottagecore, I like the aesthetic. I don't know if I've ever read a book with a cottagecore aesthetic, and so I don't know if it is a aesthetic that I like to read. But we have got yellow at the top, a kind of bee honeycomb on the sides, and the book is Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. So again, oh, that's really pretty. The reversed dust jacket. So I think this is the unique artwork, and I think this is a colouring of the original. I will put, and I hopefully did it earlier as well, but I'll have the originals up there. The naked hard cover has got this honey pot on it. It's a really nice textured hardcover. This reminds me of the Illumicrate Bridgerton books, and I'm only saying that because I am currently reading them. End papers are different, very pretty. Let's get her dressed and go through the synopsis. Marigold Claude has always preferred the company of spirits of the meadow to any of the suitors who've tried to woo her. So when her grandmother whisks her away to the family cottage on the tiny Isle of Innisfree with an offer to train her as the next Honey Witch, she accepts immediately. But her newfound magic and independence come with a price. No one can fall in love with the Honey Witch. When Lottie Burke, a notoriously grumpy skeptic who doesn't believe in magic, shows up on her doorstep, Marigold can't resist the challenge to prove to her that magic is real. But soon Marigold begins to care for Lottie in ways she never expected. And when darker magic awakens and threatens to destroy her home, she must fight for much more than her new home, at the risk of losing her magic and her heart. Cute! So this sounds like it's going to be a sapphic story. Sounds really cute. Intrigued. But let's move on to the battle path. So last month, it was the first month of the Romantsy, and I had 3 books because I had a Illumicrate as well, then I picked 2 books out. I am just going to pick the 2 books out of my jar this month, so I've got 4 books to battle. So give this a good shake. And I'm going with this one from the top and this one from the bottom, and they are The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O and Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. Let me get those, come back to you. Okay, so I picked up the other 2 books. This is a really interesting selection and I have no idea how this is going to go. So, Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O is a YA from Fairyloot from a while ago, published in 2022. This one, it is I want to say, retelling of a Korean legend, and is about a girl who sort of jumps into the sea to kind of prevent someone else being sacrificed to the gods. I'm intrigued by this. I do want to read this. This is actually on my R Fantasy bingo, so if I read that, then I can actually cross something off my list. Good, interesting. But it is a YA, so I'm a bit hit and miss with YA. And then Voyage of the Damned. This one came in an Illumicrate, I want to say in February. It wasn't very long ago. And I've read the first chapter of this one already. So I'm going to basically, because I've read the first chapter already, I'm going to continue and read chapter 2 in this battle. The first chapter didn't intrigue me enough to want to pick the book up. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't intriguing. I felt like that first chapter, I don't know, I was interested in it, but really, there was a term used, I think I can just say because it's not a spoiler, But the main character, like all of the different, in this book there are sort of 12 different like kingdoms. Each kingdom has got an animal named after it, or it's named after an animal or something like that. And our main character is from the 12th kingdom, and their animal is the piss fish. So our main character kept being called piss fish, and it just was a term and a word that I wasn't really wanting. It kind of gave me the ick, I'll be honest, which put me off because the plot that I'd got in chapter 1 intrigued me, but I didn't want to read quite a long book, 500 plus pages I'd say, 460 pages of the word piss fish. So don't know, but okay, my predictions, I think Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is probably at the bottom because YA fantasy, not sure. Voyage of the Damned I'm going to pick next because again, the piss fish thing. The Honey Witch I feel is going to be quite slow, so I don't know if the first chapter is going to intrigue me enough to want to continue, even though the synopsis does. But I think A Curse of Blood and Wolves is the one that I'm probably going to read. That's my theory, my predictions before I've read my first chapters. Let me know if you have read any of these books. Let me know if you think that I'm predicting right, and you know, carry on watching because in 10 minutes you'll know which one I have decided to read. But we'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I read the first chapter of A Curse of Blood and Wolves and I'm intrigued. So our male main character is a wolf shifter. We haven't done very much. The first chapter is 5 pages. We're following Ruby, who walked home alone through the forest, knowing that she's been followed by this man. She then sees this man and is like, okay, and then finally runs away when he gets a little bit too close. Our man is Rafe, who is the wolf shifter, and he fancies Ruby and he is obsessed with her scent. So yeah, intrigued. Now, wolf books are not always something that I love, so I'm glad I'm intrigued by this one because maybe I am going to get into wolfing. Will this feature knotting? Who knows? Maybe. But yeah, so far, intrigued, interested. Top of the pile of 1. Okay, so I've read chapter 1 of The Honey Witch. Yeah. This is just basically Bridgerton with a vague fantasy plotline. There's not really been any kind of fantasy plotline, to be totally honest. They live in Bardshire and everybody has some sort of talent, which seems to be vaguely artistic. So I have just, in this last week, DNF'd A Marvellous Light because I didn't like the sort of Edwardian early 20th century writing. I'm currently reading Bridgerton. I really enjoy the show, but I'm not enjoying the book so much because, again, I'm not really liking the sort of, I mean, this is earlier, Georgian kind of writing style. This has got that same writing style. Like I said, it's trying to be Bridgerton. The first chapter took place at a ball. We were filling out our dance cards. We were going for lemonade. Like, it's trying to be Bridgerton. And I don't want to read that right now. I can see that this will have fans. I can see that people will absolutely adore this. I'm not sure that it is one that I'm going to adore, especially not right now. So currently this is going underneath A Curse of Blood and Wolves. So yeah, so my pile of 2 books is currently like... Okay, I've read chapter 2 of Voyage of the Damned. So I've read chapter 1 when I received this book earlier this year. I've now read the second chapter. My feelings on it are still the same as before. I don't really like the writing style. It's trying to be like fun in a way that I don't like. It's a bit too colloquial, yet also trying to be like a kind of medieval fantasy setting. So I'm going to put this one, I'm actually going to put this one in the middle between A Curse of Blood and Wolves and Honey Witch, because I think I could read Voyage of the Damned. I think I would enjoy it more than I'd enjoy Honey Witch right now, but it's not one that I am looking to read. at the moment. Right, on to... Okay, so book 4, The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. First chapter, pillow falling off here. First chapter was good, intriguing, high stakes, drama, and I'm gonna put that book in second. So let's try and make it a stack. This is my pile. So I'm going to read Curse of Blood and Wolves first. If I have time, I'll move on to The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. I very much doubt I'm going to get to Voyage of the Damned or Honey Witch. But again, let me know, do you think that I've got these in the right order? I am excited to read A Curse of Blood and Wolves. I think it's going to be very intriguing. Hello. It is Sunday night and I'm 100 pages through A Curse of Blood and Wolves. Okay, so thoughts so far. I hate the title. I think the title is well, I know exactly what it's trying to do. It's trying to kind of, it's the ACOTAR thing, isn't it, of being a something of something and something. And I feel like in 2024 we're done with that. Do you know, we don't need to keep on doing a noun of noun and noun. And yeah, I'm done with that. So the title irritates me, to be honest. But that's nothing really to do with the content of the book. 100 pages in, so we've got our main character Ruby. And she has been followed home by this like large man called Rafe. Rafe is a werewolf, and she basically ended up telling off this large man and saying, stop following me. And he was like, I'm trying to protect you. And she was like, I don't need protecting. She then was followed home by this wolf, and she's like, oh, nice doggy. Anyway, her and the wolf get back home. And then another wolf comes and the two wolves have a fight, and her wolf ends up winning the fight but is quite injured, so she takes her wolf into her house to like look after him. And then in the morning the wolf is gone and there's a naked man there. So she's like, you're the large man that were following me home. And he's like, oh shit, yeah. She's like, so what happened? I brought a wolf in last night and now it's a man. What's going on? So he just goes, yeah, no, I'm a werewolf. And Ruby's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, right, fair enough. Which this seems to be like, this is set in the modern world, so it's not, it's one, like, I mean, I guess it's a paranormal fantasy really, isn't it, where these creatures exist. And I feel like it's going to get larger in terms of the creatures. We have had mention of like dryads and witches. I assume that vampires are going to appear at some point as well. So I find that quite unbelievable that she'll just like accept that he's a basically an immortal werewolf. He's like a 200-year-old werewolf, which again, why is that needed? Werewolves have never been the ones with long lives. So why do we need the werewolf to be 200 years old? It's like, I feel like the author wants to hit all of those tropes and be so original, but isn't. Then there's lots of smutty scenes where both Ruby and Rafe fancy each other, but they're both like, well, she wants to bang his bones and he's like, no, can't do that, bad. But yeah, so far, like I said, 100 pages in, about a third of the way through the book. It's fine. I'm not loving it, I'm not hating it. I'm finding that when I'm reading it, I sort of get a little bit distracted and end up putting it down and scrolling, literally like mid-sentence sometimes. So that's not a great sign. But also, it's very, very easily readable when I have my eyes on it. You know, it's very simple language. I have noticed a few grammar and spelling errors. I believe this was an indie that's been picked up by a traditional publisher. I don't think it's been edited, because there's a lot, it needs an edit. And I'll be totally honest, I do feel like, this feels mean to say because it's not Fairyloot's fault, but I do feel like when I'm paying the amount of money for a Fairyloot book, I do expect the book to be a decent quality. And it's not Fairyloot's fault that the publisher hasn't edited the book. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was Aaron and Becca were on a live the other day, and apparently a lot of publishers, when they pick up indie books to publish, they just publish as is, they don't edit, which I do think is an error, is a mistake, because again, like, a lot of indie authors won't have the capacity or the budget to get an editor, and I think that's where a lot of the times you can tell that a book is indie, because it's not edited, and you can tell. So that seems strange that publishers aren't actually like doing the editing. Anyway, that's a sidetrack. Yeah, so far, like I said, I'm about a third of the way through. It's fine. Like, I'm not enjoying it. It feels like it's basically like it's a fast-paced fun read. It could be, honestly, it could come out as a 4-star, it could come out as a 2-star. I really don't know at this point. I don't actually know what the plot is yet, which there is this kind of like side mystery that Ruby's sister hears, or like goes into these weird trances. So there's this kind of like side mystery of like, what's going on with her. But again, like, it's not really come to anything yet. And there are these other wolves that are hanging around, which Rafe is trying to find out who they are. So I feel like one of those 2 lines is going to end up being the plot. But to be honest, I feel like by the end of this book, it's possibly going to be a book that is more smut than plot. Which, especially for fantasy romance, I would prefer a strong fantasy plotline. In like a contemporary romance, well, to be honest, with any romance, I like the plot to be equal, at least to the romance. And so in a contemporary romance, I don't mind it being like 50% smut. If it's, there's a plot and the romance part is smuttier. But in a fantasy romance, I kind of don't want as much of that kind of like, just, I want that romance plot line, so that relationship building, which would be the plot of like a contemporary, with like the actual sex bit secondary to the actual plot of getting to know the characters. But in a romance, I want 3 parts. I want like the fantasy, and then equally I want the contemporary, and the actual getting to know the characters and the romantic like relationship, and the smutty bits, or like well, I guess more kind of like physical romantic stuff. So yeah, I am a bit fussier with fantasy romance. I'll be totally honest, I'm a little bit like, I do feel like this is too early to judge the Fairyloot Romantsy box, but for the first 2 books, I didn't even want to read the first one. Like, I can't remember, but I think it was like choice 4 or 5 out of the 5 books from last month. And this one, I guess it was the most intriguing of the books that I'm reading for this challenge. But it's not a book that was worth 30 quid. Anyway, like I said, it's Sunday night, a bit sleepy. I'm going to make my overnight oats, and then I'm going to maybe read a little bit more or just go to bed. Don't know, I haven't decided yet. But I will catch up for you when I've read some more, probably tomorrow. I'll catch up for you next when I get to about 200 page mark. Hello, it's Tuesday morning. I meant to update you yesterday about A Curse of Blood and Wolves. Still can't remember the title, but I didn't. So I'm about 200 pages in now, just over 200 pages in. I am that far in, over the halfway point. And to be honest, I don't really have very many thoughts about it. We've had like a bit of a sex scene, which was grand. And that's about it really, to be honest. I don't feel like we've had anything too... Got back and joining me now. She wants to go out for her morning walk. And I want to read my book. Yeah, we've had a little bit of a sex scene. We've had got a bit more mutual pining, and we're starting to learn more about the wolves and like the pack that Rafe has come from, which is all good. So I feel like this is probably going to end up being quite a solid 3-star. Like, I've heard someone say it's the worst book they've ever read, and I don't feel like that. It's not that bad. I've read worse. It's fine. And again, I am only sort of at about the 60% mark, so it might get really bad. But I don't think it's awful. I do think that it's not the best thing I've ever read. But again, I'm not a wolf fan. I'm not a fan of like wolf stories. I don't like the possessiveness that you get in like wolf shifter stories, and I know that is obviously just a main like staple of the wolf trope. So, you know, I'm reading it, I'm putting up with it, but it won't be a new favourite because I don't like that possessive plotline. The other thing, I don't know if this is going to be a spoiler. Potential spoiler, just ignore this bit if you don't want to hear spoilers while my hand's on the screen. We've also got a mates situation with a capital M, and I'm just kind of over mates, I'll be totally honest. I'm over it. Like, can we stop? Because do we need to have everyone being mates? Anyway, so that's that so far. Like I said, it's fairly readable. It did make me fall asleep last night at 7 o'clock, so that wasn't best. But yeah, like it's okay. I don't really have anything else to say other than it is okay. But speaking of, I'm going to go back and continue reading, and we'll next time check in with you around about 300 page mark. I need to get this finished within the next 2 days. Hopefully I can finish it tomorrow, because I want this vlogging to be wrapped up by Thursday. And again, I am disappointed that for a fast-paced fantasy romance, I wasn't able to finish this one quicker and get a second book read. But hey ho, let's go. Hello. Apologies for the fact that I literally do look like an egg. My hair is filthy. Like, I really need to go and shower and wash my hair, but I can't be bothered. So, I'm up to, wherever I'm up to, page about 280 in this book, which I can't remember the name of again. A Curse of Blood and Wolves. You would have thought that 280 pages into a book, I should know what book it is that I'm reading. But no. And so I think I was saying yesterday that it was fine. Today it is slightly less fine. I feel like for the last 100 pages, or well, 80 pages really, we've got Rafe going, I can't be with you, I'm too dangerous. And Ruby going, you can, we should be together. And then Rafe internally goes, I want to be with her, I don't care about the risks. And then Ruby turns up and says, I want to be with you, I don't care about the risks. So Rafe says, I can't be with you, it's too dangerous. And so the cycle continues, apparently forever. And I've got 50 pages left of this book, and honestly, I could DNF it now and not be mad about it, but I'm not going to. I've got 50 pages left. I'm going to finish it. But yeah, I just, it really does feel like, well, it feels like it's trying to be a mix between ACOTAR and Twilight, but doing both badly and being like, oh, I'm so unique, I've got wolves. There was a point, I actually took a photo of it and sent it to my friends. I'm not going to be able to find the quote now. But anyway, there was a point where Ruby says, Rafe, I know what we are. And he says, say it. I need to hear you say it. So she says, we're mates. Which I think was taken word for word from Twilight. Fairly certain that is, Stephanie Meyer's intellectual property of a kind. So sometimes you're just like, this is getting hard work now. It is getting hard work to read this book. I don't think I'm going to be keeping this book. I think this book will go in the unhaul pile. Just because if I don't keep books unless I enjoy them. Like I try and only keep my 4 and 5 star books, because if I'm keeping a book, it's either because it's especially I'm keeping, for example, I can see my Bridgerton books right in front of me and I'm going to keep them even though they're all 3-star books so far. But they are the Illumicrate special edition, they're stunning. But otherwise I'd only keep a book that I might have some intention of rereading one day. I don't want to keep a book that was aggressively mediocre, really. But 50 pages left. It's Tuesday evening right now. I am going to try my best to finish this book this evening. Hopefully I can. What time is it? I think it's 8:30. Oh, it's not. It's 8 o'clock now. I should be able to finish this one this evening. I'm obviously not going to start another book and try and start and finish a book tomorrow. So I will wrap this vlog up once I have finished this book. I do kind of wish that I'd picked The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, though. Actually, no, I don't. I think I'd have had a better time with The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. But I am glad that I've read this book because it is a new subscription and I am wanting to give this Romantsy subscription a fair shot. The first book, Law of the Wilds, that first chapter didn't really intrigue me at all. This one is now not great. And I was looking back at my stats for my book box battles, and I've read Fairyloot books. I've read 2 Fairyloot adult books for this challenge so far this year, and both of them have been DNFs and unhauls. So that's not a great sign. I am wondering, is Fairyloot both adult and Romantsy? Are they giving me the books that I want? And to be honest, I'm thinking the same with the Illumicrate. Do I still need to be getting 3 subscription boxes a month, which is very expensive? Or do I just, buy the books that I'm genuinely interested in? That would be probably a later this year discussion for myself. So I am glad that I've read this one, because I do want to be able to get a fair idea of what the books are going to be like in this subscription. But yeah, we will see. I feel like aggressively mediocre is the term that I'm going to be using for this one. Hello again. I have finally finished a Curse of Wolves and Blood, or whatever the book's called. No more thoughts than I had half an hour ago. It is aggressively mediocre. The end I saw coming from about 5 miles off, to be totally honest. I've literally just finished, and so I haven't yet rated it. I think it's probably going to be... I think it could just about scrape a 3-star, if I'm totally honest. I would say let's go and rate it now, but I have got a Bella on my lap, which makes it very difficult to do things that involve going over to my laptop. But I'm going to try and see if I can get my Corpal sheet to open on my phone. It doesn't always let me edit it. Actually, I'm just going to do it manually. So, characters. I'm going to give characters about 4. Like, they weren't the worst I've ever read, but they weren't good. Atmosphere, I'm going to give a 5. Again, there was some atmosphere, like it kept me reading. Writing style, I'm going to give a 4. Actually, no, I'm going to give writing style a 5. Because again, I think like it was readable. It was fast-paced. Again, I finished the book, so like that's got to count for something, right? Plot, the plot was stupid, 3. Just the whole like, it was the whole back and forth of the, but I'm bad for you, well I want to be with you, but I'm bad for you, but I want to be with you, blah blah. Like, just seriously, we know where it's going. We could have cut out you know, quite a lot of the back and forth and would have still got where we were going. We all knew it was coming. Intrigue, I wasn't particularly intrigued. Like I said, I kind of knew what was coming anyway. I'm going to give intrigue a 4. Logic, I'm going to give logic a 4. So for me, where the logic massively falls down in this book, things like the fact that, just like Bella in Twilight, Ruby does some research by watching a werewolf movie. In fact, I think it was Twilight. And then goes, oh yeah, I know all about werewolves now. So obviously I know that we're mates. Like, obviously. Which, I was saying this to my friends, and maybe this is just me, but I feel like if I was ever approached by a large hairy human, my immediate thought wouldn't be, ha, you clearly must be a supernatural creature. But apparently, if you are in this book, that is your first thought. Enjoyment of this book, I'm going to give it a 5. Like I said, I finished it. I finished it. So that gives me an average rating of 4.28, which I believe is a 3-star. That feels about fair. It's probably nearer like a 2.5, but 3-star feels kind of right for this one. Like I said, it's aggressively mediocre. But read it, done. Do let me know down below, have you read this book? And what are your thoughts on it? I am genuinely interested in anyone who, like, I want to understand from people who like feel one extreme or the other, because to me it's just very meh. Like, I have nothing good to say about it. I have nothing bad to say about it. It was okay. I'm going to wrap this vlog up now anyway, just because I finished the book and I'm not going to be able to read another one in a day. So if you did like this video, please do leave me a like, subscribe down below. If you want to leave me an emoji to let me know you're here, please leave me a wolf emoji, obviously. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.